Hare Krishna. Om Gyana Timirandasya. Gyanangina Shalakaya. Chakshurumilitamina. Tasmaishi Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam. Stapitamiena Bhutale. Swamrapakadamahyam. Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shiguru Shutpadakamalam Shigurun Vaishnivanscha Shirupam Sakarshtam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shirada Krishna Padam Sahagana Lolita Shivishakan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishapanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again, I will read from Gaudiya Darsana. This is, as you all know, this is a lecture from His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Prabhupada, and this is actually the translation in English, the first translation in English from Srila from Sri Prem Priyojan Prabhu. There are also commentaries there, not only translation of the lecture of His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Prabhupada. Differences among the Brahma Sutra commentaries and the natural commentary Srimad Bhagavatam. The various commentators on the Sutras written by Sri Vyasadeva have established such a diversity of opinion that the general public cannot possibly comprehend the actual purport of the Sutras by any means. Therefore, in the Mahabharata, it is said, here it is written, this is Mahabharata, Vana Parva 313, 117. Tylko pratishta shruta vibhinana savshishyasya matana vinam dharmasya tatvana hitam guha Mahajana Yenakatasa Panta. Logic is naturally inconclusive. The Shrutis also prescribe divergent processes. One cannot become a rishi if his opinion is not different from others. Subsequently, the truth of Dharma is profoundly hidden. It is very difficult to ascertain the truth of Dharma by reading the scriptures. Therefore, the Shuddhas have determined who are the Mahajanas. All other persons should follow the path those Mahajanas have called the Shastriya Pantha. For this reason, the author of the Sutras, Sri Vyasadeva himself, has written a commentary on the Sutras. All conceptions are factually harmonized in this natural commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam. The influence of numerous imaginary novel explanations or commentaries, replete with divergent opinions, has been vanished by the appearance of the sun in the form of the natural Vedanta commentary. Now, the next paragraph has the title Sri Gaurasundara, the crest jewel of all Mahajanas. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the very embodiment of the Leela of this Srimad Bhagavatam. He is also the crest jewel of all Mahajanas, past, present, and future. He is also the crest jewel of all Mahajanas. Sorry, yes. Shri Krishna, sorry, I repeat the same sentence, sorry. Now I continue. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has bestowed Gaudiya Darsana upon the world. Only by this Gaudiya Darshana can the factual meaning of the Aprakrita Savishesha Vedanta and the Shrutis be embraced to the heart. The next paragraph has a title: The path of logic is full of calamities. Many births will be spent on the path of logic, which is full of terrible calamities. On the path of um, Abhignatavada, the theory that one can comprehend truth by one's own all intellectual prowess, catastrophes will come, each one being greater than the previous one. Sorry, I will now read it properly. I will read now the sentence properly in order to be understood what is read. On the path of Abhijatavada, ne, sorry, on the path of Abhignatavada, the theory that one can comprehend truth by one's own intellectual prowess. Catastrophes will come, each one being greater than the previous one. When one becomes an Abhignatavadi, the endeavor to accumulate knowledge in the search for truth blocks one's progress. The next paragraph. One who hears Harikatha is never ruined. This is the title of the next paragraph. Even if a person who regularly hears Harikatha falls down or dies in an immature stage, he does not attain inauspiciousness. However, giving up Harikatha, even if a person attains the state of samadhi, such as Dharma Megha, by the 8 practices of yoga, beginning with yama and niyama, he still cannot attain genuine auspiciousness. Now there is a citation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Let us see. 1.5.17. This was Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. 1.5.17. Oh, no, sorry. Yes. Oh, let us see. What is this? Okay. Forsaken. Forsaken. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. I will try to sing it because if I try to read, it's really funny. I cannot read in Sanskrit. Cannot. So, oh, sorry. त्यक्त्वा स्मदर्मञ्चरणं भुजं हर भजनभ्यक्व तपतिततो यदि यत्र क्वभद्रम् अमुष्यकि कवततो Pachatam Svadharmataha. This means I read now from the translation of His Divine Grace by Bhaichana Ravrinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, his translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. Yet there is no longer of his being yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Okay, and now here what is written. Let's see. Just a moment. Let's see what is written. After abandoning Nitya Naimitika karma, the daily and occasional prescribed duties of this world, or renouncing the occupations within Varnashrama Dharma, a person who has entered into bhakti, which is Atma Vritti, the occupation of the soul, may remain in this world and, by misfortune, somehow fall from bhajana or die before his bhajana is mature. Nevertheless, because his desire for service, that is, for the awakening of his Swarup, partially remains like a tiny spark of a fire, he attains no inauspiciousness. However, those persons who are devoid of devotion, who do not hear Hari Katha, who are bereft of service, who are mixed with ignorance, and who continuously take pleasure in observing their temporary worldly dharma, do not attain any type of eternal goal. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavan Sri Krishna said to Sri Uddhava, O Uddhava, only take shelter of Kevala Bhakti. Auspiciousness is never attained by taking shelter of paths such as karma, jnana, yoga. He who listens to my katha never attain inauspiciousness. Now again, there is a citation from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-18. 11:14-18. Just a moment. Let us see. 11, 14, 18. Bhadyamanopi madbhakta visyahira chitendriya praya prakapaya bhaktya visahirna vibhuyate. Translation. This is the translation of His Divine Grace by Charnavrinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada of Srimad Bhagavatam of Vyasadeva. Translation of Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-18. My dear Uddhava, if my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he may be harassed by material desires. But because of his unflinching devotion for me, he will not be defeated by sense gratification. Here it is written. Let's see if this is, don't know if this is now the translation here or a commentary. I think it's some commentary. Although from the point of view of ordinary persons, sometimes this is translation. Okay. Again, here is a translation of His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Prabhupada, translated in English from Sri Prabhupada. Translation of Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-18. Although from the point of view of ordinary persons, sometimes my devotee has not conquered his senses and appears to be attracted towards sense objects, still, by the influence of supremely powerful bhakti, he is never bewildered by the sense objects. Okay, so the next paragraph has the title The Association of Bhagavad Bhaktas Destroys Griha Vrata Dharma. Okay, I will continue with that the next time. Jai Gaudiya Darsana. Jai Shri Prabhu Prabhu. Jai His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Prabhupada, the Diksha Guru of His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, the Diksha Guru of His Divine Grace Abhayachana Ravrinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So I will now continue to read from the other book, from the Gayatri book of His Holiness Sachinandan Swami. So it seems chapter 3 was finished, and now comes the chapter 4. Yes, here was this. Just a moment, I'm just seeing something. Just a moment. I will continue after some seconds. Okay, so chapter 4. Um, Jai Sachinanda Swami, His Holiness Sachinanda Swami, Jai the book, the Gayatri book. Chapter 4 is called The Practice. The importance of sadhana. Sadhana. The initiation into Vedic mantras is accompanied by detailed instructions on how to practice the chanting. The Prajyotisha Brahmana, mentioned in the first chapter, page 25, serve as an example of someone who received a mantra along with instructions on how to chant it. The Brihat Bhagavatamrita states, Tadhyana Adi Vidana Adyam. The goddess gave him the mantra along with the prescriptions, Vidana, for meditation and so on. Dhyana Adi. Dhyana Adi. Sanatana Goswami comments. So it is very, some parts of the text are gray, so if the light is not enough, one have to need to use some torch because it's just gray, the text very, the text is not, if the text is uh, black, one can read it. If the text is gray, it's a little bit too light, and if the light is not um, falling directly on the text, then it's not easy to read it. Okay, then what is written here? Sanatana Goswami comments. Kamakya Devi gave the Brahmana not only the mantra, but also the method for meditating on the mantra's deity. And as implied by the word Adi and so on, she also told him how to touch the body to sanctify it with the syllables of the mantra, and how to worship the deity through various means, including appropriate hand gestures. Now there is some note number 1. Note number 1 to page 4 to chapter 4. Let's see. Yes. Note number 1. This quote from Brihat Bhagavatamrita 2.1.37, text and commentary. Okay. Not knowing how to chant the Gayatri mantras is like owning a precious musical instrument that, although capable of producing the finest melodies, is unfortunately used as if it were a hammer. For lack of proper instruction, the owner of this fine instrument will not be able to produce the desired music. In the same way, if we chant Gayatri without properly knowing the prescribed methods of chanting, the result will be quite dissatisfying. In Vedic times, when people were much more sophisticated than nowadays, they were expertly guided by learned Brahmanas. Thus, they were easily able to understand and apply the complex and elaborate system of Vedic rituals. In this age, however, it is rare, if not impossible, to find such expert Brahmanas. Srila Prabhupada writes, so His Divine Grace Bhaichar Naravrinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, such Brahmanas are not only rare, but also not available in this age. And therefore, for the purpose of spiritual upliftment in this fallen age, the Goswamis prefer the purificatory processes under the Pancharatrika formulas to the Vedic rites. Now, footnote, no, not footnote, note number 2 to chapter 4. This is, let us see, this is from Bhagavata Purana, this is Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 12, 13. Okay. Following Srila Prabhupada's general guideline, we have not described in this book methods that are no longer practical. Rather, we have tried to concentrate on the methods of bhakti sadhana that are in line with our Sampradayas teachings, and particularly with those of Srila Prabhupada, those of His Divine Grace of Vaicharana Ravinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So the next part, the next, the paragraph, second paragraph from chapter 4 has the title, What is Sadhana? And this I'll continue with this the next time. Okay. Jai the Gayatri book. Jai His Holiness Sachinatana Swami. Now let us continue with the next book. This is A Place of Sandalwood and Roses from Srimati Govinda Dasi, one of the first disciples of His Divine Grace, Bhaichar Ravrinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai, the book, A Place of Sandalwood and Roses. Jai Srimati Govinda Dasi, Jai His Divine Grace, Bhaichar Ravrinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. His Holiness Sachinanda Swami is also his disciple. So, chapter 2 was Haight Ashbury, San Francisco, December 1966. Hey buddy, got a buck to spare? The barded fellow on High Street, dressed in wild attire, danced to the sound of tambourines and drums. Mr. Tambourine Man in real life. Long-haired youths stalked the streets, hawking underground papers, panhandling change, and trading drug contact info. Many were dirty, unkempt, and confused. The wide-eyed Texas students had never seen anything like this before, and they found it unsettling. So these are the uh, Shimati Shimati Govinda Dasi is is describing herself and uh, her friend, and later he became her husband. So they too are um, they they had traveled to San Francisco, and she describes now this part of the biography of yes of her biography. These are Garrett and Bonnie, these two persons. This is she and her future husband. They were friends at the time. Uh, okay, now I continue to read this interesting and beautiful text. Upon arrival, Bonnie and Garrett located the apartment of friends from Austin, people they didn't know, climbing the dunk stairwell. They knocked on the door and were invited inside, where they saw black lights and swirling strobed in a dirty, dark flat. Obviously a drug scene. Many youths lived there, and bare mattresses were scattered everywhere. Several young girls sat on the floor, scribbling bright-colored paisleys with crayons. Others sat staring at wall mandalas, carefully drawn neon designs lit up by flashing strobes. The walls of the flat were lined with psychedelic art. Faint smells of marijuana smoke filled the heavy air. Marijuana smoke filled the heavy air, and rock music blared from speakers while several youths gyrated on the bare floor. This was Hyde Ashbury, where the ethos of sex, drugs, and rock and roll spilled out into the streets. Bonnie's first thought was, let's get out of here. Garrett and Bonnie glanced at each other, and without words, they agreed that this was not where they wanted to be. Frustrated and disappointed, they spent only a day in San Francisco, then drove several hours north toward the border of California. Stopping in the Russian River, they rented a rustic cabin and a beautiful spot beside the rushing water. It was a heavenly place. The fragrance of moist grass filled the air, along with the sweet chirping of birds mixed with the river's soothing drone. It was a lovely place for meditation. Garrett picked at his guitar, while Bonnie read their yoga book and learned some new postures. The beautiful week, the peaceful week, the peaceful week gave them a much needed rest from the bedlam they'd left behind, the University of Austin, and the hippie cows they'd found in the streets of Hyde Ashbury. Sorry for my pronunciation, I cannot really read good, but you should buy the book yourself and read it yourself. Bonnie sat outside beneath the trees and practiced various yoga asanas. Learning pranayama, she inhaled the delicious, fragrant air beside the rushing river. It was invigorating. She loved sitting in the different yoga postures and breathing the sweet prana filled air. It was the beginning of a new life for her. Here, beside the river, she began her meditation practice in earnest, determined. She began her meditation practice in earnest, determined to perfect it to that, as the book said. When the chela is ready, the guru will appear. Most of all, the couple relaxed and relished the lingering autumn beauty of the Russian river. After a week of rest, they felt renewed and drove back down to San Francisco to explore the happening Hyde Ashbury Sen, but they decided this time from a safe distance. They rented an attic flat at the base of Hyde Street, just near Market, not too near Hyde Ashbury, but not too far away, and they began to explore. Daily, Bonnie walked to a nearby forested park and spent most of her day in yoga meditation. Her love for the forest deepened, and the beautiful park served as her ashram. Garrett spent time at home studying his music and reading, as well as learning yoga. Occasionally, they walked up the hill to the local head shop to pick up magazines, papers, and books. They began to study Buddhism along with yoga. They were fascinated by the Tibetan book, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and felt they were learning more about life and death than back at the university. Garrett came home one day, shocked and appalled. He had met some young people who invited him to their flat, where he witnessed the morbid sight of these youths shooting drugs and quibbling over sharing dirty needles, and quibbling over sharing dirty needles. He had seen the dark side of the hippie world. Thereafter, the couple stayed away from the Hyde Ashbury madness and quietly pursued yoga studies at home. But even at the perimeter of it, their apprehension grew. War raged in Vietnam. Anti-war protests swept across the country, and protesters burned their draft cards. America was embroiled in a time of intense conflict. Bonnie and Garrett felt the chaos of the day and struggled to remain above it, focused on their inner search. Chapter 3: The Inner Search. Days passed. San Francisco's foggy air was spiced with Christmas and hippie incense burning. Bonnie continued her meditation, living on the wonderful fresh fruits available year round in the city. She had grown to love her yoga diet of fruits and nuts, persimmons, apples, oranges, pears, and a handful of almonds. It made her feel light and her meditations more intense. Christmas came and went. There were no decorations, no tree, nothing festive in their dismal little flat. Garrett withdrew from the whirling dance of Haight-Ashbury and spent more time with his music. It was his solace. Bonnie spent more time studying yoga and doing meditation on her daily trips to the nearby forest. She could now sit in the park for hours, undisturbed, doing pranayama meditation. It always left her with a feeling of profound peace that she loved. She saw the shimmering of the trees and sky and hummed Aum along with her breathing exercises. But she needed a teacher, and she knew it. She pored over her yoga book for clues, but again, all it says was, when the chela is ready, the guru will appear. She now consciously worked on becoming ready. In whether ways she knew. The book prescribed nonviolence, celibacy, and sense control. She followed those paths and increased her time spent in meditation trance. But although she felt peaceful most of the time, still her heart felt empty. She felt distant from the culture around her, yet not really connected to the truth she sought. She didn't really know what she was looking for. Her search was a deep, unspoken thing, something so primal it could hardly be put into words. She began to remember the questions that she'd asked back at college, the same questions that still troubled her. Why are we here? Why are we born? What is our purpose in life? What is it? What is it all about? In her sophomore year, she had studied existentialism. The kingfisher knows he's meant to catch fish. The animals all know their purpose, but man does not. He wanders about searching for his purpose, his life meaning. This philosophy gave voice to the problem, but not the solution. Thus, Bonnie had become despondent. She remembered how her trip to Europe in 1964 had started her search for the meaning of life. She was only 18 then, and full of life's enthusiasm. She wanted to experience and learn about anything and everything. So when she completed her freshman year at college, she had decided to go to Europe and study the art of the great masters. She pondered those past events, and her mind drifted back to the summer of 1964. So I will continue with that the next time. Um, Chapter 4, Europe. So I will again read the beautiful poem which Govinda Dasi have written for Srila Prabhupada for His Divine Grace by Charan Ravinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Your room was my whole world, galaxy center of the universe, and you were all the people. There was no one but you in my world, shining as evening wishing star. You were everyone and everything to me. Beautiful. Jai Govinda Dasi. Jai His Divine Grace Abhai Naravinda Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai the book, a place of sandalwood and roses from Govinda Dasi. So um, I will now continue with the Chaitanya Charitamrita um, of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Translation of His Divine Grace by Charnaravinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So I'm not sure if the last verse was Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhurila 883 or maybe the next one. I'm not sure. Let's see. Well, I think I have begun to read the translation. The purport. Yes, I think I had begun to read the purport, but it's not. I didn't read it to the end. I did not read it to the end. Yes, okay. Okay. Okay, now I will again read this verse. So, Chitacharitamrita Madhurila 883. So, this conversation between Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya. Kintoyan Raya Rasa Se Sarvotama Tatastana Vicharila Achitaratama. Translation. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for him. Still, when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. So, here purport of Srila Prabhupada of His Divine Grace by Charnaravinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Prabhupada explains that this verse does not advocate the whimsical invention of some methods of love of Godhead. Such inventions cannot be accepted as topmost. Indeed, such concoctions are not recommended in these verses. Srila Rupa Goswami has said in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2 1 101. Shruti Smriti, this is a famous verse, yes, which describes the different types um, of wrong ways to uh, um, how to say of wrong spiritual paths, something like this. So Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vitimvina Aikanti Harer Bhakti Pataiva Kalpate.
Shruti Smriti Puranadu
Pancharatra Vitimvina
Aikantiki Harer Bhakti
Upataiva Kalpate. He clearly mentions in this verse that one must refer to the Vedic literatures and other supplementary literatures and follow the conclusions of the Vedas. An invented devotional attitude simply creates disturbances in the. Oh, sorry, this is. No, no, no. No, no, no. Sorry. No, this verse is another verse. I said something wrong some seconds ago. So this is just a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But there is another verse which really describes the different paths which are not accepted as right ones, such as Aula, Baula, Karta, Bhaja, and so on. This is another verse. Sorry. Sorry, yes, okay. So I continue to read the purport here. So, if a person overly addicted to the family life takes to Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna consciousness to earn a livelihood, his activity is certainly offensive. One should not become a caste guru and sell mantras for the benefit of mundane customers, nor should one make disciples for a livelihood. All these activities are offensive. One should not make a livelihood by forming a professional band to carry out congregational chanting, nor should one perform devotional service when one is attached to mundane society, friendship, and love. Nor should one be dependent on so called social etiquette. All of this is mental speculation. None of these things can be compared to unalloyed devotional service. No one can compare unalloyed devotional service, Krishna consciousness, to mundane activities. There are many unauthorized parties pretending to belong to the Sri Chaitanya cult, and some are known as Aula Baula, Aula Baula Kartabhaja, Nida Daravesha, Chandi Sahajiya Sakibeki, Smarta Jata Gosani, Ativadi, Chudadari, and Kuranga Nagari. So let's see here what is written. Moreover, there are those who take the caste Goswamis' opinions of such parties as bona fide, comparing these opinions to those of the six Goswamis, headed by Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana. This is simply another cheating process. There are also non-devotees who compose unauthorized songs, who establish different temples for money, who worship the deity as priests for salaries, who accept caste Brahmanism as all in all, and who do not know the value of a pure Vaishnava. Actually, the caste Brahmanas of the Smarta community are opposed to the principles of the Sattvata, Pancharatra. Furthermore, there are many Mayavadis and those overly addicted to material sense enjoyment. None of them can be compared to a person who is purely engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness. Every Krishna conscious person is constantly endeavoring to utilize different transcendental devices in the service of the Lord. Such devotee renounces all material enjoyment and completely dedicates himself to the service of his spiritual master and Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He may be a perfect celibate, a restrained householder, a regulated vanaprashta, or a tridandi sannyasi in the renounced order. It doesn't matter. The pseudo transcendentalists and the pure devotees cannot be compared, nor can one argue that a person can invent his own way of worship. The purport in presenting these verse necessities explain the comparative positions of the transcendental mellows known as Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. All these rasas or mellows are saturated on the transcendental platform. Pure devotees take shelter of one of them and thus progress in spiritual life. Actually, one can take shelter of such spiritual mellows only when one is completely uncontaminated by material attachment. When one is completely free from material attachment, the feelings of the transcendental mellows are awakened in the heart of the devotee. That is Svarupa Siddhi, the perfection of one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Svarupa Siddhi, the eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, may be situated in any one of the transcendental mellows. So each and every one of them is as perfect as the others. But by comparative study, an unbiased person can realize that the mellow of servitorship is better than the mellow of neutrality, and the mellow of fraternity is better than the mellow of servitorship, and the parental mellow is better than the fraternity, and that above all other mellows is the mellow of conjugal love. However, these are all spiritually situated on the same platform because all these relationships of perfection in love are based on a central point, Krishna. These mellows cannot be compared to the feelings one derives from demigod worship. Krishna is one, but the demigods are different. They are material. Love for Krishna cannot be compared to material love for different demigods. Because Mayavadis are on the material platform, they recommend the worship of Shiva or Durga and say that worship of Kali and Krishna are the same. However, on the spiritual platform, there is no demigod worship. The only worshipable object is Krishna. Therefore, although there is no difference between the devotees, Shanta rasa or Dasya rasa, Vatsalya rasa or Madhurya rasa, one can still make a comparative study of the intensity of love in these different transcendental positions. For example, it may be said that Dasya rasa is better than Shanta rasa, yet transcendental love of God is there in both of them. Similarly, we can judge that love of Godhead in fraternity is better than love of Godhead in neutrality and servitorship. Similarly, love of Godhead in parental affection is better than love in fraternity. And, as stated before, love of God in the conjugal rasa is superior to that in the parental rasa. The analysis of different types of love of Godhead has been made by expert acharyas. acharyas who know all about devotional service on the transcendental platform. Unfortunately, unexperienced and unauthorized persons in the mundane world, not understanding the transcendental position of pure love, try to find some material fault in the transcendental process. This is simply impudence in the on the part of spiritually on the part of spiritually inexperienced people. Such fault finding is symptomatic of unfortunate mundane wranglers. So, so we hear how this should be written from His Divine Grace Bachar Narvinda Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So we see how there was explained that there are different types of different levels of love, different levels of love, different degrees of love to Krishna. This means here. So of course, we all know this mm, all these types of rasas. They are, of course, as explained here. They are all of them. They are very good and very nice, and they show love to God, love to Krishna, love to the highest personality of Godhead. But all those persons who are interested in the path of bhakti described by His Divine Grace, Bhaichara Ravrinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and his spiritual master, his Diksha Guru, His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Prabhupada, and actually Rupanuga Bhakti, they all are actually in Madhurya Rasa. Uh, these persons are in Madhurya Rasa. They are uh, going uh, towards the aim to enter the Madhurya Rasa. Maybe after many lifetimes. This only Krishna knows. We don't know how many lifetimes. Maybe at the end of this lifetime, maybe during this lifetime, maybe after many lifetimes. This we don't know when we will achieve um, Madhurya Rasa. But this is actually the goal. Well, but what Madhurya Rasa, of course, this is actually very, very sweet relationship with God, with Krishna. But we are not in the role of Radha. Radha is already the person who Krishna loves more than everybody else. This place is already taken. So we are not in the role of Radha. We are in the role of Manjaris. We are in the role of our soul will have, after many lifetimes, maybe, our soul will have the role of a Manjari, of a very close servant and friend of Shrimati Radhika. So this is actually Madhurya Rasa, which is described in which is the aim of those persons who are interested in Rupanuga Bhakti. So, and as described in verse 10 of Shivopadeshamrita of Srila Rupa Goswami, actually, also there it is described that there are different degrees of love, higher and lower. And in verse 10 of Shivopadeshamrita of Srila Rupa Goswami, also it is described that the highest degree of love and the topmost um, devotees are the gopis of Vrindavana, and actually Srimati Radhika. She's the topmost pure devotee, and after her are the other gopis of Vrindavan. So we see how the women are actually more um, more gifted in devotion, because the best devotees, the best topmost pure devotees are eternally are women. On the first place, this is Srimati Radhika, and this is described in verse 10 of Sri Upadeshamrita of Srila Rupa Goswami. And after her are the other gopis of Vrindavan. These are the topmost pure devotees, and they are women. So we see how the women are um, have better qualities uh, in devotion. Um, this is just the truth. And this truth is described from Srila Rupa Goswami is in verse 10 of Sri Upadeshamrita. So, um, and so this is actually the highest love, the love of Srimati Radhika to Shri Krishna. And um, it is called Unatojvala Rasa, or Madanaki Mahabhava, and it has also many other names. Maybe not many, but there are, I think, also other names of this highest love, the love of Srimati Radhika to Shri Krishna. And this is described also, this love is described also in every verse of Shri Shikshastaka. Because, as we all know, was described in Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and also in other books, it is described that actually Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the embodiment of the divine couple. In his personality are Srimati Radhika and Sri Krishna together in the personality of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has golden complexion, which is the golden complexion of the body of the transcendental body of Srimati Radhika, and um, um, also he is Krishna himself. So actually, Krishna and Radha are in him, and in his heart is the mood of Srimati Radhika, Madanaki Mahabhava, and especially the mood of separation, the mood of separation and crying of a pure devotee in separation from Krishna. Let us see, for example, how it is said in verse 8 of Sri Shikshastaka. Shishva padartam pinashtvam adarshna marmachtam krotova. Yatata tava vidatato lampato mat prananata stu sevana parha. Shishva padartam pinashtvam adarshna marmachtam krotova. Yatata tava vidatato lampato mat prananata stu sevana parha. Shishva padartam pinashtvam adarshna marmachtam krotova. Yatata tava vidatato lampato mat prananata stu sevana parha. Shishvartapnashtamam. Oh, sorry. Shishvar Shishvapadartapnashtam. Adarshna Marmachtam Krutva. Yatat Tata Yatatata Vidatat Lampata. Matpranatas tu Seva Naparha. Matprananatas tu Seva Naparha. You are my prananat, O Lord. You are my prananat. You are the Lord of my prana, the Lord of my living heirs. That means the Lord of my life. Matprananatas tu Seva Naparha. Always you will remain my only Lord. And in the previous lines, it is said, in the previous lines, verse 8 of Sri Shikshastakam, it is said, um, 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 Yatata vitatlamputa. You can do whatever you want, my lord. Shishvarta padam Shishvarta Pinam Padashtum Darshanam Martam Kurtuva. Shiva Padartam Pinashtum Adarshanam Martam Kurtuva. You can, if you want, oh my lord, you can embrace me and make me uh, the most um, um, joyful one, and the happiest one. Or you can break my heart with not being present in front of me before me. Adarshna mamachtam kurutva. If you are not present before me, that breaks my heart. You can break my heart by being not present before me, or you can embrace me and make me the most um, joyful and the most happiest one. But, oh Lord, you can do whatever you want. You are the mm, Lord of my prana, the Lord of my life. You will always remain my only Lord. You see, you see how a beautiful, what a beautiful love is that, undescribable, powerful, beautiful love of a pure devotee uh, to the Lord. Um, and so this love, Madnaki Mahabav, it is, or Untojvala Rasa, um, it is the highest love in all the worlds, and only Radha has this love. Only Radha experiences this love to Krishna. She is the topmost pure devotee of Lord Krishna. And also Radha is the person who Krishna loves more than everybody else. And in this way she is also the topmost pure devotee. And after her are the other gopis of Vrindavan. And in this way we see how the women are actually, it is very nicely explained from Srila Rupa Goswami, especially in verse 10 of Sri Upadeshamrita. It is very nicely described from Srila Rupa Goswami that actually the women are more, are better, they are better and more gifted, and they are better in devotion to the Lord. Just from their nature, the women are better in devotion. And this is very nicely described from Srila Rupa Goswami in verse 10 of Sri Upadeshamrita. So, and also in Shri Shikshastaka, which was spoken from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the 16th century, in every verse there is described the love of Srimati Radhika to Shri Krishna, the highest love in all the worlds, Madhunakya Mahabhava or Unuta Ujvala Rasa. And also at the same time, in every verse of Sri Shikshastaka is described also um, not only Madhanakya Mahabhava, but also the love of any other pure devotee to the Lord. The highest love is Madhanakya Mahabhava or Unutujvala Rasa, the love of Srimati Radhika to Shri Krishna, but also the other pure devotees, they also love Krishna. Not with such a great love like Radha, but they also love him. So this love, their love is also described in Sri Sri Shikshastaka in every verse. In other literatures, in other poems, in other scriptures, is described more detailed the love of Srimati Radhika to Shri Krishna. More detailed is described Madhunakya Mahabhava or Unuta Ujvala Rasa, but also it is described in every verse of Sri Shikshastaka, and especially in verse 7 and 8. Also in Sri Shikshastaka it is described, because in Sri Shikshastaka in every verse is described the crying of a pure devotee in separation from Krishna. So I say this almost every time, but I just cannot stop to say it because it's so beautiful. But as I always say, you must know that I'm not a um, authorized person. I mean, I'm not um, uh, qualified on such topics like Vedic literature or comments on Vedic literature. Um, so in this way, when I try to say something, I'm not in, I'm not trying to instruct anybody. I'm not trying to instruct anybody. I just try to understand these things myself. Of course, I have to try to understand the Vedic literature and the Vedic poems and the comments on Vedic literature and Vedic poems under the guidance of teachers, under the guidance of Diksha Guru and Shiksha Gurus, all of you who are devotees in Rupanuga Bhakti and in Raganuga Bhakti, you are all my teachers, you are all my gurus. I pay obeisances to you. Greetings to you also. Please accept my humble obeisances. Dandavat pranam. Vanchakapatrupascha kripasindhupeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Now, let us try to sing actually Shikshastakam. If it is so important, of course it is very important, and that's why I would like to try to sing it.
Chatudarpanam Bahamavatagne Nirvapanam Shakaravachantrika Vitarana Vidyavadu Jivanam Ananda Bhuri Vardana Pratipadam Punamrita Swadana Sarva Manasnaparam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan
Na 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 kar
Bahudani Sarva Shaktishtatrapitani Amita
Smarane kava etadrasitava kripa
Vagamamapi Durdaiva Vidigasha
tajunina nuraga tarnatapi sunichana
Tarorapi Sahisnana Amani Namanadena
kirtaniya sadhari nadanam dajana
Nasundari Kavita Vajavati Kisha
Maye Namayanma
Yamanishwari Bhavatat Bhutirai Tuki
Tvai Ainandatanuncha
Tanuja Kinkara Patitama Vishana
Pavambuddha Kripaya Tava Padapankaja
Stitadulu Satcha Stitadulu Satcha Chintaya
Vijintaya Nayana Gala
Ashrudaya Vadananga Gadarudaya Girarudaya Gir
Pulakai Nichita
Vapukada Tavanamagrahana
Bhavishyati Yogaitam Nimeshana
Chakshusha Prashita Tunyaitam Jagatsavam
Govinda Virahenami Ashlishava Padarata
Pinashtuma Adarshana
Karotu Va Yata Tata Va
Udavatu Vampato Matprananastastu Saivana
Para Ashlishava Padarata
Pinashtuma Adarshana Matam
Karotu Va Yata Tata Va Vida
Lampato Matprananastastu Saivana
Para Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jetzt now I will come to an end already. Just a moment. Um, just a moment where it was. This yes.
Namaste Narasimhaya
Prahlad Ladayana
Hiranyakashipuksha
Shivatankana Kalaya Iton Rishiho Paraton Rishiho
Yato Yato Mitato Nrishimha Bahir Nishimha Hridaya Nrishimha
Rishiyamadim Sharanyam Prapadya Tava Kamaravare
Nakama Puta Shrinka Dalita Hiranyakashi
Tano Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa
Jaya Jagadish Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa
Jaya Jagadish Hare Namaste Narasimhaya
Prahlada Dayine Hiranyakashipu Raksha
Shilatankana Kalaye Iton Rishiho Paraton Rishiho
Yato Yato Yamitaton Rishimha Bahir Nishimha Hridayen Rishimha
Nrishiho Madi Saranyam Prapadye Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Pralada Lada Dai Pralada Lada Dai Hiranya Kashipu Vaksha Hiranya Kashipu Vaksha Shilatangkanakalaye Shilatangkanakalaye Don Rishimho Paraton Rishimho Don Rishimho Paraton Rishimho Yato Yato Yamita Don Rishimho Yato Yato Yamita Don Rishimho Bahir Nishimo Hridayen Rishinho Bahir Nishimo Hridayen Rishinho Rishimhamadi Sharanyam Prapadye Rishimhamadi Sharanyam Prapadye Tavakara Kamalavare Nakama Putashrinka Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanubriya Yashavadrita Barahari Rupa
Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
Jai Jagadish Hare
Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
Chini Simha Jain Rishim Jaya Jain Rishim Hadev Prahlodesha Jaya Bhakta Mukha Padma Bring Chini Simha Jain Rishim Jaya Jain Rishim Hadev Prahlodesha Jaya Bhakta Mukha Padma Bring Chini Simha Jain Rishim Jaya Jain Rishim Hadev Prahlodesha Jaya Bhakta Mukha Padma Bring Chinni Simha Jain Sim Jaya Jain Simhadev Prahlodesha Jaya Bhakta Mukha Padma Bringa
Nrisimhadev Jaya
Nrisimhadev Jaya Nrisimhadev Jaya Nrisimhadev
Jaya Pralat Nishiha
Pralat Nishiha Pralat Nishiha Jaya Pralat Nishiha Jaya
Lakshmi Nrishiha Lakshmi Nrishiha Lakshmi Nrishiha Jaya Lakshmi Nrishiha Lakshmi Nrishiha Lakshmi Nrishiha
Lakshmi Nrisimha Jaya Lakshmi Nrisimha Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jai Gornita Goranita Goranita Jaya Sri Sri Gornita
Goranitae 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 Shigonita. Koranita, 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 Jaya Shri Shigonita.
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Gopinath Jaya Shri Radha
Radhishyam Radha Madhava
Radha Govinda Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Madhava
Radha Govinda
Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radha Jai Guru Dev Jai Guru Dev Jai Guru Dev Jaya Srila Guru Dev
Jai Guru Dev Jai Guru Dev
Jai Guru Dev Srila Guru Deva Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Shri Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada
Jai Prabhupada Jaya
Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya
Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your attention. Hare Krishna.